Hi everyone, thank you for checking in to the Community Charging Rebates Program info session. We'll begin shortly while folks continue to filter in, so please just hold tight for just a few minutes. Perfect, and I'm not seeing too many more people join in, so we'll begin soon. Okay, great. I think we're ready to start. So thank you everyone for joining today. My name is Jenna Compton. I am the Transportation Electrification Financial Coordinator at the Oregon Department of Transportation, and I work predominantly on the Community Charging Rebates program. Before I get into the presentation, I would like to introduce Brittany. Brittany, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Breen and I'm a Senior Program Associate at Fourth on our Access to Charging team. Fourth is here to assist with outreach, education, and technical assistance for the Community Charging Rebates program.
Great, thanks Brittany. And with that, we'll begin. So the purpose of the Community Charging Rebates program is to improve charging access in communities across the state. We'll begin the presentation now, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll answer all of your questions at the end of the presentation, and links will be provided as we proceed. The goal of today's webinar is to cover some of the basic eligibility information and to discuss the funding available and how it will be distributed. ODOT has contracted with Fourth to provide a high level of technical support both before and during the application process. This is a soft launch of the program to help you understand the basics of how to prepare for round 2. Details are evolving, and the best way to stay informed is to check the website, sign up for the newsletters, and join our upcoming webinars and office hours. As we near the launch date on March 5th of 2024 at 9 a.m., these sessions will become more detailed and help walk you through the application process. Before we dive in deeper, if anyone cannot stay for the entire session, that's okay. We'll be recording and posting the session on the CCR website later today or tomorrow. I'm going to stay on this slide for a bit. If anybody wants to jot down the dates, now is your chance. This is the February schedule for future information sessions as well as office hours that we provide. You can meet Brittany or myself one-on-one during the office hours to clarify on any questions that may come up. I would also like to add that we have one remaining information session left. In this session, we will walk attendees through the entire application process and go over multiple scenarios. The program aims to help reduce the cost for the applicants and place EV chargers in strategic locations, whether it's at multifamily housing, publicly accessible parking, or workplace. Rebates equate to $3,500 to $5,500 per port, or up to 75% of eligible costs. Applicants can apply in two ways, either as a pre-installation or post-installation project. We will go over the rebates and the application flow in more detail in the following slides. The program will launch on March 5th at 9 a.m., as stated before, and close once funds are fully reserved or by July 3rd, whichever comes first. Targeting priority communities is a key element of this program. The goal is to give these communities a head start for the next EV wave. The program looks to place stations within multifamily housing complexes, workplaces, and shopping districts. predominantly in places where people plan to stay for longer periods of time to charge. Here are some of the main programmatic changes that occurred for round 2. As mentioned before, we will add workplace as an eligible site location. Workplace charging stations must primarily serve employees who work at or nearby the location. Publicly accessible parking and workplace locations must include a minimum of 2 ports and a maximum of 12 ports, whereas multifamily housing must include a minimum of 4 ports and a maximum of 12 ports. Third-party applicants can apply on behalf of a site owner or authorized agent, however, they are not the rebate recipient. This means Fourth can now help applicants apply for rebates. We have reduced the amount of quotes required to only 1 quote. The rebate levels for publicly accessible chargers has been increased. The replacement of broken equipment is eligible, but projects must still follow the minimum port requirements. We will have a new qualified products list of chargers on our website soon. Service level agreements or maintenance contracts will be required for public projects to ensure that these chargers are up and running. On this slide, we have added a pie chart to help visualize the updated budget. The funds will be separated into 2 buckets. There is a total of $2.5 million available for the second round. 30% or $750,000 will be available for non-priority communities, and 70% or $1.75 million for priority communities. The rebates will be reserved on a first-come, first-served basis in each category. Please note that a single entity cannot claim more than $150,000 in rebates per round. Here is an image of the priority type map locator that applicants can use now. If you have a specific location in mind, you can search the address. Once you open the map will generate an answer. The answer will state whether the location is in a priority or non-priority community. If you want to search a general area, you can click on the map on the website and zoom into that location. The key on the right-hand side will help you identify if the region is in a priority or non-priority community. I want to clarify that every location in the state of Oregon is categorized as either a priority or non-priority community. This tool will only differentiate which bucket of funding the rebates will pull from. Here is the rebate breakdown in greater detail for eligible applicants. Beginning with the first row, Level 2 chargers that are considered publicly accessible parking will receive $4,500 per port or up to 75% of eligible costs. Chargers rated at 11.5 kilowatts or higher installed at public sites are eligible for a higher per port rebate. Workplace Level 2 chargers will receive $3,500 per port or up to 75% of eligible costs. Level 1 for both workplace and multifamily housing will receive $750 per port. However, there are additional port requirements when installing a Level 1 charger. Multifamily housing Level 2 chargers will receive a $5,500 per port or 75% of eligible costs. Rebates are based on either a maximum dollar amount per port as listed in the chart or a percentage of the eligible project cost, whichever is less. Oh, Brittany, I just want to stop really quick. Is there an issue with the slides?
I can hear you just fine, and I can see your slides just fine. So it might be an individual problem.
Okay, I can go back really quickly if people want to review the rebate port. Sound works fine for me. Okay, perfect. I'll just leave this up for another second. Hopefully they'll be able to see it. And if not, we will be recording this session, so people can also re-listen to that section as well. Okay, perfect. So to apply for the program, eligible applicants must be a business, nonprofit organization, state, local, or tribal government entity. Businesses and nonprofits must be licensed to do business in Oregon with a valid Oregon business license. They must be the site owner or the authorized agent with a site verification form. Third-party organizations may assist eligible applicants in the application process or apply for the rebate on their behalf, but the rebate must go to the equipment owner. Here are some examples of ideal site locations. For publicly accessible parking sites, examples include tourist locations, retail stores, and transit stations. For multifamily housing, some examples include apartment buildings, townhouses, and condos. Lastly, some workplace examples include office buildings, manufacturing facilities, universities, schools, hospitals, and more. Here is a list of the eligible costs to begin considering. I won't go over the full list, but just to name a few: charging equipment, installation, labor and material costs, engineering design costs, electrical service upgrades, project signage, site service level agreements, and network agreement costs. I will leave this slide up for a bit longer if anyone wants to note down the eligible costs. You can also see this same list in our guidelines that have been updated for round 2. Okay, I'm going to move forward. There are 2 ways to apply for the rebate. The first is with the pre-installation method, and the second is the post-installation method. We will begin with the pre-installation application flow. To qualify for an incentive, applicants may apply prior to the project's installation and reserve funding. We will go into greater detail on the application specifics in the final information session on February 28th. That way everyone feels comfortable with the application process. To begin, applicants gather and submit all necessary documentation. If there are any errors with the application, ODOT will send it back to the applicant with a note explaining what they need to fix. The applicant will have 10 days to make the necessary corrections and resubmit the application. Once any errors are corrected, ODOT will review the application again and reserve the funding. The applicant then has 270 days to complete installation. Once the post-installation portion of the application is submitted and reviewed, if everything is correct, the application is approved and a payment is disbursed. Applicants will usually receive their payment within 45 business days. Now this is the post-installation application process. To qualify for an incentive, eligible costs cannot be incurred until after the program launch date of June 13, 2023, and applicants must apply for the rebate within 90 days of the installation date. Charging equipment with an installation date before October 6, 2023 is not eligible for round 2 of this program. The guidelines define the term installation date as the date on which the charging station is affixed to its permanent location, connected to the electrical source, and ready for use. Again, the application goes through the review process. If there is an error, the applicant will receive the notification to fix that error. They have 10 days to make any corrections and resubmit. If everything is correct and the project is approved for payment, the applicant will receive their payment within 45 business days. There are lots of resources on the CCR website for applicants to review, including the priority type locator, the Climate Office Transportation Electrification webpage, EV Charging 101, and details regarding Round 1. The guidelines for Round 2 have been posted as a draft form. Remember, ODOT reserves the right to make changes to the guidelines before the program launch date. The detailed eligibility requirements, site verification and rebate recipient acknowledgement form, the fact sheet, the FAQ, and an invoice template and quote template will be posted by the end of this week. The qualified charger list and rebate calculator will be live as soon as possible, but definitely before March 5th. If you have any questions after the presentation, please contact us at the emails on these slides. You can also visit the CCR website or get updates on 4th and ODOT social media pages. After the session, you will be sent a survey. If you have time, we really appreciate your feedback. We'll begin answering your questions in the chat now.
Okay, I think there was just one question in the chat that I didn't get to. And is there a specific time on March 5th that the online application will be available?
Yeah, so it will be available at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
And you will be able to access the link on our webpage.
Yeah, I can put the webpage in the chat for everyone.
So
Yeah. And then there was a question, is there a list of contractors doing these installs? We do have a guide to obtaining quotes document, which I will also link in the chat. This is a good place to find people who can potentially do installations, look through charging manufacturers, and compare prices as well.
Mhm.
I will put that in the chat.
And we will be updating that list again by close of business today. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, so another question that came in, quotes may include direct purchase of equipment and then an installer. Let me also put in the chat what is required in the quotes because I think that will be helpful information. Okay, so the following information that will be needed for the quote is the project site address, the quantity of chargers, the number of ports, and itemized estimated costs. Okay, and when will awards be made and what triggers the 270-day requirement? So awards will be made shortly after submitting your pre-installation application. And the 270-day requirement is from the day you're notified that you reserved funding. So whenever ODOT gets in contact with you and says you have officially reserved funding, that is when the 270 days starts.
Yep. And to add to that, at each step of the process, so if there's an error in your application, you'll be sent an email notification. If your funding has been reserved, you'll be sent an email notification. And same with the post installation. If there's an error or if your project has been approved for payment, you'll get an email notification.
Okay, and then Jamie, you said, do we have to have both or one? So for the quote, it's one quote, and it just must include the project site address, the quantity of chargers, the number of ports, and itemized costs for installation. Okay, so itemized cost for install. Yes, that's correct,
Mhm.
Jamie.
Perfect. And I just want to reiterate that we will be doing our next webinar. We'll be going over the application. So I recommend that anybody who's interested in applying, please join that webinar. We'll be going over the application in really great detail. When are the
Okay.
office hours again? I can put those up on the slides. So we have office hours on the 22nd and the 27th.
And you can access those on the ODOT CCR webpage that I linked above as well. Um, yeah, you just, it's a Zoom meeting, so you just have to click on the link to join. And then another question, do recipients have to register the stations under the Clean Fuels program, or can a utility do it on behalf of a recipient? Jenna, is it the person that is submitting the application that has to register, or does that part matter?
Yeah, so usually it is the recipient that we see registering for the clean fuels credits, but I can also double check on that and see if we have any limitations where a utility can't apply on behalf of a recipient, but I believe they could. But I'll double check and email you once I get confirmation.
Okay, and then Jason asked, will the next webinar also be recorded? It will be recorded. Yeah, we'll make sure that the application support session is also recorded so you can access that if you aren't able to attend.
Yeah, and something else as well is that we will be posting a snapshot of the application in PDF format alongside that webinar, so you'll be able to view the application as a snapshot.
Okay, we'll wait just a couple more minutes and see if any other questions come in. Incentives are stackable, correct? Yes, they are stackable. You can apply for other utility incentives on top of the ODOT rebate. You'll just want to apply for those incentives first before applying for the ODOT rebate. Um, yeah, because that goes into the final rebate calculation.
I'll put the rebate table back up on the board too. Great, and I'm not sure if anybody's typing in their questions, but thank you all for joining and thank you for your great questions. I'll put our contact information back up on the board and we can wait a few more minutes to see if anybody has anything else. Perfect. And I don't think we have anything else. Oh, we have another one.
Do you ever pay for installation at the time, or is it always a rebate? The rebates will be paid out after the installation is completed for the charging equipment and they're operable.
Hmm. At that time, we'll collect an invoice. Um, so yeah. Perfect. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think we might be ready to close up. I don't see any questions coming in the chat. So again, if you guys have any questions that come up later on or you think of something, please contact us at these emails listed below or join our office hours and be sure to fill out the survey if you have any feedback or felt like you needed a question answered in greater detail. But thank you again for joining. We really appreciate all of these great questions.
Thank you, everyone.